All I remembered at that point was finding myself alone. Oh, my head. Where was I? It was so dark. There was something by my feet, a flashlight. That house. Where was I? There was a body lying on the floor. Who was it? I didn't recognize his face. It was still kind of warm. I noticed that I limped as I moved down the stairs. How did I hurt my leg, I wondered. All I could really recall was coming home, seeing Rachel. I was upset. She looked afraid. I shook my head, and I knew I should head downstairs. After I shook my head, I tried to clear it, and I moved downstairs. And I tried to find a way out of this house. A thin gray mouse was stuck in a trap. It looked frantic but exhausted. Did I free it? Yes. Yes, I did. A collection of rusty tools. These looked like they'd seen a lot of use, and they were caked in damp-smelling dirt. Why weren't they in a shed? This was an odd place to keep yard tools. What would they have been used for in here? I found a picture of a couple. It looked like it had been moved a lot. There seemed to be a switch behind it. Did I push the switch? Yes. I'm the kind of guy that pushes a switch. It depressed smoothly into the wall. I heard a faraway click somewhere. Something must have opened somewhere. I looked like hell. My clothes were dirty and torn. There was mud caked all over my shoes. I had been sleepwalking. Oh, had I been sleepwalking again? Was that how I got to that house? The front door was blocked by a pile of furniture. I knew I had to find another way out. The door was taped and locked. I couldn't get through. But the smell, I guessed it led to the kitchen. It didn't seem like I could get through there. How the hell did I get into that house? That switch in the wall worked. The door had been unlocked. How I knew it was locked in the first place? Not sure, but I had a gut instinct that that switch opened this door. The box looked heavy, but there were marks on the floor. It had obviously been moved before. Maybe I had found a way out. I must have moved it, right? Of course I did. Yes, I moved it. I heaved the box forward, and it finally gave. There was a ladder going underground where the box was. A dank smell rose from the passage. Did I climb down the ladder? Yes, I did. I'm not going to sit in this house forever. I've got to move on. My leg hurt like hell as I climbed down the ladder. The tunnel below was even darker, and the smell wasn't going to get any better. But I had to get out. I had to get out of there and find my way home. Footprints in the dirt looked more like more than one kind, and a lot of traffic. Whatever this place was, it was obviously used a lot, especially for being a dank, dark basement with muddy water on the ground. What the? It was an old map of the town. Places all over were marked. The industrial area near the river, various houses, even the small forest near our neighborhood. Some of the markings on the map looked older than the others. I was starting to get the chills. It was damp, and it was cold in those tunnels. Don't judge. I was chilly. Newspaper clippings from the local paper. They were all about murders in the town over the last few years. Wait. There were photos. Photos of our house. What the hell was that about? Maybe I should have looked around more, tried to find some kind of information. Oh, God, Rachel, please be okay. I wanted to rush home, but I had to find a way out first. And I needed to see what else was down there. I'm not the kind of guy that just lets this stuff pass. There's a reason I'm here. A work table covered in papers, dirt, handgun? I hated guns. I didn't take it, did I? Well, I'll tell you what. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Yes, I took the handgun. I tucked the small handgun into my pocket. Its weight was somehow reassuring. Why did I take the gun? I don't use a gun. I probably wouldn't even know how to find a gun. But I went further down another set of ladders. Some kind of homemade rack slung together with poorly cut wood and rope. It was caked with old blood. Somebody hadn't actually used that, did they? The smell in that room was like old grease and rot. I wasn't getting any closer to finding anything useful. Rusted hooks, like the kind you'd find in a butcher, hung on the ceiling. They looked pitted and worn from heavy use. How much use does it take to wear down a giant hook? That man upstairs, did he do this? I was getting more nauseated the longer I stayed here. I felt sick and weak, like I hadn't eaten for days. Crudely made shelves. They looked like they were holding cans of some kind of corrosive. The labels were worn and slick, but I could see the warnings. I know those warnings from a mile away. The slight fumes that still emanated from the cans, it made me dizzy, but it wasn't the kind of high I wanted right now. It looked like a cage. It was small, but there was something coating the bottom, something wet. That place was getting worse all the time. I knew I had to keep moving. So I went further down. How many houses have 3 levels of basements? I really thought I was in a bizarre place. Some kind of old boxes. They looked like they were years old. Wait a minute. These boxes had old clothes in them. Clothes I remembered throwing out after Rachel and I moved to town. What the hell were they doing in here? If I was scared before, I was terrified now. Why, there were photos of our house there? Why were there photos of our house there? I don't remember that happening, but I feel like there were. And these clothes. Was that why I was there? I checked my back pocket and realized my wallet was missing. Did I come to that house? Or did something bring me? Bats. I don't like bats. They're worse than pigeons. There's rats with wings. I remembered noticing the broken ladder. I had to be careful. I don't remember if I jumped down there or found another way. It looked to be a long way. Did I jump now? I'm not a fucking idiot. Maybe there was some other way to get down there without risking any more injury to my leg. It's already hurt. It's already hurt. Like I jumped down a whole set of... What? Did you hear that? There was a rope hanging there. I wasn't sure how sturdy it was. Did I take it? Of course I did. Maybe the rope would help me get down that broken ladder. It'd be easier to descend with a rope. So I took it. I could sense something on the other side of this wall, but I couldn't quite look at it. It gave me the chills. The rope I found would have let me climb down the broken ladder safely. Did I climb down? Yes, I did. I'm the kind of guy that uses the tools around him. I I could hear a faint hum, and the smell from before started to get worse. I thought it was, I don't know, definitely rot. A bunch of old newspapers, wheat pasted together. A message had been hastily smeared on it. Keep out. Danger due to cave-in. Whose basement goes to a cave? I can hear water rushing. I got more brave. I could still feel a faint impression of the rope I had slid down as I pressed against the heavy metal door. It was probably for the best that I hadn't jumped. The ache in my leg was bad enough as it was. If I could have, though, I would have run straight out of those awful tunnels. Who would keep such a place? At least, I thought. At least, I thought, I had found that old handgun. It seemed to work. And from the smell of it, it had been already used, so it's not like it could be dysfunctional. It's a gun, it works. I kept the gun in my pocket. It seemed a familiar weight there, like it had been in my pocket before. An exposed ventilation shaft. Maybe somebody crawled through there. It was so high up, it must have been a sore landing. There was dirt on the ground. It looked wet, and there was grass smeared with it. I went up a ladder. Probably a bad idea. Disgusting. It was a mess of filthy garbage bags, and there were rips and tears in most of the bags. It looked like an old videotape was sticking out. Did I take the tape? I did. I don't know what I was going to find. I wasn't sure what I hoped to discover with the tape, but I took it anyway. I did not want to keep digging through this mess, so I walked away. I got self-respect. I could hear a faint trickling sound like water. What was that? There was an exit door. A kitchen knife, covered in drying blood. Thinking about it, it made me sick. I didn't even want to touch it. But did I take the knife? Yes, I did. I slipped the knife into my boot. Since I had the gun in my pocket, did I really need all this? I hear a crying from a distance. I don't know what the hell that is. This door looked too much like an exit. I did not want to take such an obviously marked door. But I did. There was a rusty ladder sunk into the water, which smelled disgusting. I knew that I couldn't climb down that. Maybe I could find a way to drain the putrid water. Apparently, my walls are really thin in my apartment. And I can hear somebody from a distance, and it's even more disturbing in this video. But I'm gonna keep going. Granted, I couldn't seem to move forward, so I went back into the other door. Now I was in one with several doors. I wasn't sure. It looked like there was a number 1, a number 2, and then a not marked door at all. Nothing above. I figured number 1 probably is the first place to start. What kind of contraption is this? I wasn't sure, but I thought it was some kind of regulator. I had no idea how it worked. Through the dust, I could see handprints from previous use, probably from whoever worked in those sewers. 1. I thought I could turn this water valve to shut off its flow. Did I turn it? Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. But it felt like I could at least say I was doing something. And then the number 1 felt like it gave me purpose. I moved straight to number 2. Behind door number 2, I found another valve. And a door to 3 and 4. I thought I could turn this water valve to shut off its flow. Did I turn it? Yeah. I'm on a pattern now. I'm not going to turn back now. Every valve I see, I turn it off. There it is. Did it again. Thought I could turn off this water valve to shut it off. Did I do it? Yes. Yes, I did. And number 4. Same thing as before. I felt like I was a ghost inside the machine. Kept doing my job. Wait a second. It looked like I turned off the water flow of this valve. The valve was still active. Did I turn it again? Yes. The valve was still active. Did I turn it again? Yes. Finally, silence. I couldn't take it anymore. I just couldn't take it. I thought I could turn this water valve to shut off its flow. Did I turn it? Yes. The valve was still active. Did I turn it again? Yes. I'm starting to get a little bit edgy from having to turn these valves so much. Back to door number 1. Through the dust, I could see handprints from the previous use, probably from whoever worked in those sewers. The valve did not change much. I went to the door with no number on it. I thought it was going to be special. The door was locked. There was a musty smell from inside. The door was locked. There was a musty smell from inside. I had reached the limit. Back into this one. Looked like I turned off the water flow in this valve already. That thing is still I looked at. Moving on back. Maybe the exit door's open. I don't know how I didn't see this ladder before. It wouldn't let me do it. I'm crazy. It's probably those absurd sounds coming from the wall, driving me mad. Looked like the water drained out of that grate in the wall. I assumed that's what I was doing the valves for. The smell didn't improve much. The room was damp. The safety poster had definitely seen better days. How old was that facility? The faded paper was yellow and dusty, but it had obviously been wiped off recently. Very recently. The door was locked. I could see a faint light within those. Somebody might be in there. I couldn't get in, no matter how hard I tried. Up the ladder I went. I was going to try another door, and it opened. Oh my god. I found another dead body, a sewer worker. By the wounds all over his face and body, I figured he'd been stabbed repeatedly. There was a key ring sticking out of the man's pocket. Did I take it? Yeah, there was a lot of locked doors. And I think somebody down here. I thought about the knife I had found with disgust as I carefully picked the keys from his pocket. I was almost worried he was going to grab me, but this is not a zombie story. I was feeling even more sick from seeing another dead man. I didn't want to get any more blood on my clothes. So I stopped picking through his pockets. What the hell? There was a security camera in the room. There must have been a way to see what happened. Maybe this VHS tape I found could be useful. I couldn't help but wonder if someone was watching me from the other side. I pressed forward. I still wanted that. I could smell a hint of fresh air. I must have been near an exit of some kind. But I wondered, what did that key I found on the sewer workers do? And what was on the videotape I found? This must have been the other end of that ventilation shaft. Whoever used it could have gotten past that flooded room with this. I debated going back and seeing if that key opened any doors, and the tape could play and everything, but I just wanted to get out. My sore legs and the extra weight I was carrying made climbing the ladder difficult. Oh, really? Would I really need the gun? Or that knife before the end? I wondered what was on that VHS tape I found, or in that locked room. Should I have gone back to check? My head was buzzing with questions and tired thoughts as I ascended the ladder. Suddenly I lifted the heavy lid above me. The awful smell of that sewer gave way to dank-scented pine trees. Diggity dank. I saw eyes in the background. That must have been an owl. An old ladder leading up to an ancient water tower. The ladder seemed to be... It needed to be extended so I could climb it. Did I extend the ladder? I tried my best. I popped the latch and brought down the ladder. Up I went. Bats. I don't like them. In a patch of smeared dirt and grass, there was a beat-up old wallet. I thought it was mine. Did I take it? Of course I did. It's mine. I slid the filthy wallet back into my pocket. I noticed it didn't contain any kind of gunpowder. In fact, it didn't contain any cards or ID of any kind. I thought I should recover my credit cards and driver's license at least. I'll be right back. I wondered to myself, how long had I been standing now? I kind of blacked out. I remember how I got here, but not what I've been doing. Not what I've been doing. From the railing, I could see over the woods and down to the entrance to the sewers. Had I come through there before? If I did, someone definitely could have seen me. They definitely could have from here. It was getting cool up there, and I shivered with an uneasy sense of what was to come. How did I get home from here? How could I get home from here? Home seemed a lifetime away, but I kept going. I kept walking past the water tower, but there was a door to a fence. It definitely made me curious. The rusty door was locked tight with an old padlock. The faded sign on the door warned about some kind of train yard. It must have referred to the town's only train station. I can't imagine anything else. It didn't look like I'd be able to get through there at all. So I moved on and opened another door. This must have been the entrance to the forest that was mentioned on that map I'd seen. Whoever was poking around in those tunnels underneath that man's house had scribbled notes on this place, but I couldn't make them out. Here, the sign pointed out various campsites and walking paths within the woods. It mentioned a river, maybe a washroom, but the rest was too faded to see clearly. It kind of reminded me of Friday the 13th. Jason Voorhees, is that his name? Creeped me out for sure. I crawled through the bushes. It reminded me of perverts. I don't know why. A dry old picnic table sat lonely amongst the trees. It had carvings and marks from years of previous campers. As I tried to read some of the names and marks, I idly thumbed the knife I found in my pocket. If I wanted to, I could have carved something onto that table. Did I? No. With a few crude strokes, I etched a simple design into the wood, R plus H. I didn't mean to do it. I said no. But I couldn't stop myself. I was defacing the property. I felt like a teenager defacing the table. I read some of the other names, notes on the table's surface. Rytron, Kumar, Uncle Phil, Henry. They were all spelled odd, but that's what they said. Daniel, David, Jenny. It seemed like the table had seen a lot of use over the years. I read some of the other names and notes on the table's surface. Tron, you, Tune. I couldn't make out whatever puzzle could be solved in there. I figured if I tried any longer, it was just to prove I was crazy. So I moved on. The path ended in a cold-looking river. I wasn't sure if it was safe to cross that. Did I cross it? Did I cross it? No. In that darkness, it didn't seem wise to try. Maybe there was another option. I think there was. Through the bushes I went again. It's blocked by something. There's more bushes, and I traveled through them yet. I tried. What was that? Trampled into the dirt and the grass was a plastic card or something. I brushed it off, and to my surprise, it was my credit card. Wasn't sure if it was still usable, but it was mine. Did I take back my credit card? I'd be an idiot not to. Pocketed the credit card. Hopefully I could find my driver's license, too. Through the fence I could see a dilapidated building. I wondered if I could find my way around. And the bushes by the fence seemed at the right location to look around. Oh, I thought over here would be around the building. I was wrong. Everything looks so familiar in this woods. Did you hear that? I feel like I'm being followed. Oh, there was some personal effects shoved into the rock. Wait, there was a notebook there too. Did I read it? I'm embarrassed. I couldn't stop myself. I'm kind of nosy. Inside the cheap dollar store notebook was a page. I'm sorry. It was page after page, worn page. Let me start again. It was one of the most cheap notebooks ever. I mean, have some respect. If you're putting your thoughts into a book, get a better book. And page after page was just dirty, filthy, crumpled. They were worn. But there were pages of names and lists. None of them made sense to me. I mean, I figured it could be a crazy person. The newest page contained several names. Heather, Olivia, Ashley, Cheryl, Iris, Daphne, Holly, Rose. Rachel. Rachel. Her name was last on the list, and it had a mark beside it in blue ink. The names Daphne and Olivia had been crossed out in the same blue ink. Cheryl, Heather, and Rose had also been crossed out, but these marks looked older and more faded. Who were all these names? I could only think about how much I needed to get home to make sure Rachel was okay. I was lost in the woods. Not gonna lie, I had no idea where I was. Back at the sign. Felt like I was about to go, oh, I've been there before. I'm starting to get my bearings. I wasn't an Eagle Scout, but I had a friend who was. And I thought to myself, I hung out with him enough that his survival skills probably wore off on me. I just started going everywhere and realizing I was completely lost and I should have no business being in the woods. Oh, a third little passage. That looked neat. What the hell? What further? There's graffiti on the walls. A lot of warning signs not to go in this door, which made me really want to. The grimy sink had a small patch in it that looked almost clean. There wasn't much in the way of clean water there, but the sink did work. There was a damp-smelling plank leaning against the stall door. I might have been able to cross the river with it. Did I take it? Yeah, I did. I thought it was a good idea. I managed to carry the plank under my arm so it didn't get in the way. I felt like it was going to be easy to find my way back to the river, but time would tell if that was true. I made sure that I went through all the holes in the woods. Oh, the sign was the same as the first one I had seen. This must have been the exit to the other side of the woods. Oh, I had finally found the exit. Once I left, I knew I never wanted to return. The close, damp air of that forest clung to me like a cloak as I pressed through the gate. I was somewhat relieved to see a bit more light on the path ahead. It was as if the trees finally were letting me through, giving me a way out. That notebook I had discovered didn't seem helpful, but since I read it, I couldn't put it out of my mind. What did it all mean? As I stepped through the gate, I suddenly recognized the auto parts factory where I had worked as a machinist for all those years. The plant had closed almost 3 years ago now. Times were better then. I thought I could hear a faint rustling behind me. Maybe it was just the wind. Maybe it was just the wind. I sure as hell couldn't believe it was the ghosts of the past. It had been a long time, but I decided to go into the plant. Felt like the door locked behind me, but it didn't. So I went back inside. I'm a little paranoid. Excuse me. One of the lockers hung open. Its contents were tossed around like someone had been looking for something. Old work clothes had been picked through, and a few photos and notes had been ripped off the door and spread around. The door was locked shut. The sign was pasted on the front door that said "Danger, closed for repairs." I didn't think it could be opened. Possible. There was a large power box with 5 lights on it. Cables burst out of the box, snaking off to other parts of the factory. The metal was starting to wear, and the cobwebs had collected in the corners. The box wasn't receiving power. I wasn't an electrician, but I figured I could do something. The door was locked tight. It seemed to be connected to the power box beside it, which gave me even more incentive to fix it. Up the stairs I went. Every part of this plant smelled old and rotted. I noticed the old bulletin board on the wall. I used to look for promotions on this board. The board contained yellow clippings of newspaper cartoons and notices. There were notes to and from the guys, but just to the people that worked there. One of them was to Norman. It was one of the older guys on the line. I remember Norman. He wasn't so bad a guy. Norman took over a general store after the factory closed. He, Rachel, and I would get lunch every now and then. Rachel liked him because he seemed kind of positive despite the setback. I don't think I could say the same about me. I kind of fell apart after this plant closed. Power panel. Looked like it was just shut off. Did I push the switch? Yeah, I'm going to try to get all those power switches. The opened locker was stuffed with dirty work clothes and boots. It's kind of funny. I remember getting in trouble for not keeping my locker set up right. There was a photo of a woman taped to the inside. It was scratched out, and the face was unrecognizable. I always thought it was creepy when people did that to photos. That woman's photo, I knew I had to get it back to Rachel to find out what happened. I took the photo. Sorry. The power panel looked like it was shut off. Did I push the switch? Of course. There was a hum of electricity that I didn't remember from the first one. So I pushed it again. The power panel still wasn't moving, so I switched it again. Yes. I love the sound of electricity running through the wires. It just gives a buzz. It was shut tight. There was a rusty looking card slot inside. More stairs to go up. Our old break table. The layer of dust and grime only made seeing this sting more. I used to love here. We used to use spitballs. We were too old for it when we did it. It seemed like beer bottles had been used on the table recently. They weren't as dusty as the rest of it. And to tell you the truth, we partied, but we always hid it from the break table. It was in the bathroom or outside on lunch. Certainly not drinking beers at the break table. The door had been hastily boarded up. That was weird. The door had been hastily boarded up. This was Norman's locker. The door was dented. Someone punched it. I don't remember him doing that when we worked here. He's always so calm, cool, and collected. My head ached, and I recalled the last time Norman, Rachel, and I all had lunch together. Rachel seemed so much more at ease when we all went home. Another panel that I hoped could help me get the power back on. Did I push the switch? Yeah. And it worked right away. I could tell. The utility shelf crammed with mismatched tools and items. There was a claw hammer on the shelf. Did I take the hammer? Huh? As I took the hammer, I noticed it wasn't as dusty as the rest of the tools on the shelf. Then I thought about the door that was all boarded up. Being useful and productive. There was there in this plant. That was all I ever wanted. I didn't want to make a name for myself. I just wanted to be a cog in the machine, make it work the way it's supposed. When the factory closed, everything got worse. Everything got worse. Everything got worse. Everything got worse. Another power switch. I couldn't wait to do it. I took excitement every time I did it. But when I was disappointed, so I pushed it again real fast. It still didn't work. I was pretty upset. It still wasn't working, but I switched again. Yes. Felt good. Felt good. Yeah, I switched it. It made me feel almost addicted to the power. But infuriated when it didn't work. So I switched it again. And it gave me that hum I had grown to love so much. It was like a fish tank or a fan, helping me fall asleep while I was awake with my eyes open. I thought to myself, the back of that hammer could take these nails out real fast. I used the hammer. The old wooden boards came apart easily. After I had removed the planks, I left the hammer on the floor. I had a knife and a gun. What am I going to do with the back of a hammer? This was My locker. It's in the factory. Let's take a booze. There's a picture of Rachel inside. It looked like it had been torn up. I thought I had taken a picture home when the factory closed. This room was nothing but bad memories. Did not like it one bit. The floor was littered with old liquor bottles. Looked like somebody had holed up here. The smell of open booze bottles made me wretch. I had given the stuff up a while ago, hadn't I? I started to think about the headache I had and how familiar it was to hangovers, but I gave up drinking for a long time ago. I wouldn't start again. I used to get bad when I drank. It was not a good thing for me. I got sick a lot, had to call out of work, had accidents at work. I was just wandering. I needed to go back downstairs. All the switches had been. Just couldn't shake that drink anymore. I don't want to say that there was an accident with the plant once. It was kind of my fault. This place couldn't stay open, but I had something else. The power looked like it was running again, so that's all that mattered. With the power box working and the door was unlocked. Did I go through? Of course. You reap what you sow. So I walked in. A rack of flashlights hung on the wall. One of them was missing. Just like my flashlight. But then again, I love the flashlights here, so I would have bought these for myself. Wait a minute. They were exactly the same size as the flashlight I was carrying. I turned my over and looked at the bottom. And judging by the label, it definitely could have come from that rack. It was number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it's probably just coincidence. I know I had always intended on buying one of these flashlights. My head ached terribly as I closed the door behind me. And I saw a wooded path beyond the light of the factory. Still, it was better than that stuffy, foul-smelling room I had found. Who would have used an old locker room? Somebody was obviously going up there. It didn't make any sense. And if I could reach town from there, maybe I could find Norman's store. It was close to one of the main roads. Maybe you could help. A rusty old truck had careened up the road and into the guardrail. Its front was crushed and its windows fell off and smashed. Judging by the rust, it had been there for a while. I didn't recognize the vehicle. I had hoped whoever was in it survived. I'm not a cruel man. I like to see an accident, but I like survivors. You know? Huh. I just opened it. I didn't know where it was going. Just want to keep moving. The garbage bin was a disgusting mess of rotten food and slick black bags. I saw a thin, greenish corner poking out from one of the bags. Here's my driver's license. It looked damaged. Should I take it back? Yeah, I'm not embarrassed to have some garbage stuff in my pocket. Yeah, I've collected Monopoly pieces from McDonald's. I cleaned up the card as best as I could. It looked pretty beat up. I was amazed to have found my credit card, and now this. I tucked the card into my wallet. Next to my credit card. I mean, what are the chances that I would come across it? It sounded like it was going to start raining again. I don't mind the rain, but I'm certainly not looking forward to it. I had entered Norman's place. This was the back of the store we room. It was oddly quiet, except for the faint sound of the television. I wonder if there's a VCR there. The entrance to the front of the store was locked from the inside. It looked like I couldn't just pop it open. It needed a key. There was a bit of blood on the keyhole, which was kind of odd. The entrance to the front, that's what I had just... The blood on the keyhole. That's strange. I could imagine trying to put a key in and jamming your finger into the hole. Maybe that person bled until they got to here. That was definitely blood on the floor. I couldn't look at it. The TV still flickered to the decipherable channel. I couldn't make out what was on the screen, but that glow just gave me the chills. I Couldn't make out what was on that screen, but the glow just gave me the chills. Jesus. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Norman, my co-worker, one of the very few friends I had in this town, lay dead beside his armchair. His face and shirt were covered in blood. It looked like he'd been shot trying to get up. His eyes were still wide with shock. Norman, you deserve better than this. Did I close his eyes? No. I was too scared about Rachel to stay there another moment. Besides, when you're dead, you're dead. You don't see when you're dead. You need to close his eyes. I guessed this was Norman's kitchen table. He kept it clean enough, but there were water rings from 2 cups there of wood. You should have some respect. Somebody worked hard on that. I'd never been to Norman's place before. At least, I didn't remember doing so. The kitchen trash bin smelled fresh. I didn't dig through that mess, did I? Yeah, I did. Sorry, it was a weird night. I found a hairpin amongst the rotting food of trash. Well, not some pocket. I figured I could. I'm gonna be honest. I was gonna pick the lock on the door. I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of it at all. Just wanted to look around this place. I'd probably never come back again. I kind of want to remember. What the hell? What if Rachel's old autumn coats hung in the rack? That was Norman's bedroom, wasn't it? What the fuck was it doing in there? Inside the cabinet was a small but impressive collection of hunting rifles and shotguns, and even a few items I didn't think were legal here. One of the slots in the rack was empty. The gun I had found seemed to match the others that were there, but if the handgun was Norman's, what the hell was he doing with it? The gun would fit there. Did I place it back in the cabinet? No. Though it weighed on me, I had a hard time parting with the weapon just then. And I'd seen 3 dead bodies today. I didn't want to be the 4th. For sure. Down the stairs I went. I used the hairpin to pick the lock, like I said I was going to. The hairpin snapped in half, so I threw it away. But I got through the door. The general store was small, but it was clean. It had, the usual things: postcards, snacks, magazines, canned goods, squirt guns, cards, baseball cards, gum, stuff like that. I never went in there much. Rachel usually stopped by after work if we needed anything. I always felt pressure to buy from them because I wanted things to work out, but I didn't have a job. The register was mostly empty, and a fat stack of travel magazines sat beside it. I wondered if someone had robbed the place before killing Norman upstairs. That would make sense. Not that I would rob somebody and kill somebody. I'm just saying, if you're going to kill somebody, you might as well take the money if you don't need it anymore. The icebox seemed to be unplugged. It had been off for a while. Most of its contents were half melted. I couldn't imagine Norman turning this thing off. Was someone else angry with me? There were various postcards from the area, especially from the tourist traps. Tourist traps. Funny. Not that funny. Sorry. One of the postcards showed up. One of the postcards. It was a black and white photo. A black and white photo of the water tower that I was at earlier. It had looked like it was in better shape then. Much better shape. Stepping outside into the rain was surprising relief. I wanted to get as far away from Norman and his store. That was one of my few friends. I wanted to get away from him as far away as possible. I hadn't even bothered to look at him. I didn't even care what had happened. Did I? Please. Couldn't tell. Did I care what happened? The gun that I carried with me, was it responsible for Norman's demise? I was left with so many questions. At least I was almost home. I didn't know if I would get the answers I craved, but I had to go on. I was so close now. It was locked. This wasn't the right gate anyway. Why would I go into my neighbor's house? This gate was locked tight, and it wasn't my house. I don't know why I was checking. I felt like I was making stupid, foolish mistakes. There it was. I walked in. It was unlocked. The gate was locked tight. It wasn't my house. I'm pretty sure this was the... What? The neighborhood's local post box. There was a letter sticking out as someone had pushed it all the way in. I knew it wasn't right, because it's a federal offense, but I looked at the letter. There was no return address, but the envelope was addressed to Norman. I knew he wasn't going to get it. He's dead. I know that. Carefully, I tore it open and looked at the letter inside. It read, "Stay away, she's mine." That was it. No signature, no other information. Stay away, she's mine. My wife's coat was in this room. Had I written that? No. I had the wrong gate. This one was locked. Sorry, I just... Everything that's coming together. This is my place and there's blood in front of it, I can tell. I don't want to go in. I paced in front for a little bit, thinking about the fact, you know, my wife's stuff was inside of his house. I couldn't remember anything. Norman was dead. I had a gun that was still warm from being shot. No one was around. I had entered our backyard. The rain gave me a terrible sense of foreboding, and it chilled me through my clothes. I wasn't expected, but also I was, I was afraid. That's all I'm trying to say. Is I was scared. I thought that perhaps I had murdered people. It was humbling, but I was hoping to find a murderer. I held my breath as I approached our back door. I held my breath as I approached the back door. I was terrified. I was terrified to step onto the inside of that house, because once I did, there was really no turning back. It's hard to deny. It's hard to deny what your eyes see. The house was painfully quiet. The only sound was my own breathing, ragged and strained. I flicked the light switch on by the door. The power was off though, so it didn't work. I was surprised. Luckily, these flashlights won't work. They last for a long time. I remembered having a breakfast there, on this very table. Was that yesterday? Was it sometime before? I can't remember. The table was clean. It hadn't been used until recently. The door to the basement was locked. Where did I put the freaking key? There was a small pile of mail on the floor in front of the mail slot. How long had I been away? Why hadn't Rachel picked it up? Most of the contents were bills. There was a credit card bill there. Did I open it? Yeah, I did. I ripped the bill open and read it. To my surprise, it said something about canceling my credit card due to non-payment. What the hell? That's not my style. The front door was locked from inside. I couldn't go out, though I needed to see if Rachel was there. I mean, I could have. I should check that. The house seemed so unfamiliar to me. An old photo of Rachel stared back at me, reminded me of better times. It didn't make me feel terribly comfortable. Did I keep it anyway? Yeah. I replaced the photo on my wall, feeling like I had gotten part of my life back. Still, the image made me uneasy, of course. Why had I thrown it away? The television. I had purchased it before I knew I was going to lose my job. I felt pretty guilty about it afterwards, but then it was too late. Rachel was pretty angry about that. I realized it really quick. She didn't have secrets. Rachel was pretty angry. It's not hard to realize it when she gets angry. I hope you get a chance to meet her. She's got spirit. She's got spunk. Okay. Rachel and I shared this bookcase. Her books were mostly about travel, and mine were about the area and its history. She was so much about everywhere else, and I was so much about here. I remembered going into a local shop after we moved. Some of the books had definitely been pulled out recently. They weren't all even on the shelf. There was a suitcase in the bed. It was Rachel's. I remembered it from that trip we took out west. Did I open the suitcase? Yeah, I did. I wasn't sure what to make of the suitcase's contents. Inside was a few days' worth of clothes, toiletries, and a train ticket? Where was she planning to go? This wasn't getting me anywhere. Where was she gonna go? And why would she leave me? Her hallway mirror had been smashed and its pieces scattered around the floor. I couldn't really make myself out anymore. I wasn't sure I wanted to. Our sink, which needed to be replaced, one of the taps always stopped, but it hadn't gotten around to fixing it yet. That old house was charming, for sure, but it wasn't always easy. We were lucky enough to get a house with one of those wonderful old claw-footed bathtubs. It seemed impractical at the time, but part of it was what made that house home. I mean, it was old school. I don't know if you've ever been in a tub with claws in the bottom, but you feel a little bit above everything. My laptop had been left on, and only a towel, the smallest bit of towel was left. On the screen was a website about the old water tower. There was a key in the top drawer of the desk. Did I take it? Yeah, I didn't know what it goes to, but I pocketed the key. I thought to myself, oh, that key probably was from the basement. The laptop was warm. It had been running for a while. And now that I had the key to the basement, I pretty much knew where I had to go. I just wanted to check one last thing before I left. I'm sure it's safe. I might turn off the water heater to make sure nothing happens. I unlocked the basement door. There was an old Christmas decorations in the box. I couldn't even remember our last Christmas. It had been a while ago. The garbage bags were stuffed with old paint cans and supplies. There was a dirty old key here. Did I take it? Yeah. I took the small key and tried to remember what it was. There was old clothes and tools and other things we obviously hadn't thrown away yet. We had way too much junk. There's cracks in this wall. I had put this divider up in the wall last summer so we could create a separate room in the basement. I hadn't finished it yet, so the door was stuck and the drywall was poorly installed. I might have been able to break it, though, if I found something heavy enough. Heavy. I couldn't even remember our last Christmas. Something heavy enough. Something heavy. What do I have? Maybe a TV set? Rachel was pretty angry about that, I realized. She'd be pissed if I threw a TV set through the wall. Very pissed. TV set, bad idea. I looked around. All I needed was one thing to throw. One simple thing. Bring that damn cloth in fast. It's heavy. I can never carry it. A laptop? It was warm. It's too small to throw anyways. So downstairs I went again. Probably to the kitchen, maybe? Double checking doors, just in case. Oh! It had looked like the room had been tossed around. The furniture was a mess. Did somebody break in here? Why hadn't I checked? This room. There was an old crowbar on the floor. Did I need to take the crowbar? Sure I did. I looked at the heavy crowbar. And I appreciated its weight because I knew what it was going to do. Down in the basement I went. Short of a heavy fire axe. What was better to open up a wall? I was laughing at myself, taking a TV. I took the crowbar. You know, the crowbar I found would have been strong enough to bust through that wall. You know, did I break through the wall with the crowbar? Like a madman, I did. With a heave, I swung the crowbar at the wall. I smashed a hole large enough for me to step through, which was pretty impressive. As I stepped through the broken wall, my breath caught in my throat. This was it. Was Rachel down here? Was she okay? I saw blood on the ground. A filthy looking pile of rags had been dumped in a corner. The stench of them was awful and made my eyes water. I was terrified to even touch the pile to see what lay within, but I had to. I had come this far. I had to see what was underneath it. After all this searching, after all I'd seen, when I looked within the rags, did I finally find my Rachel? Yes. Jesus. Wrapped within the filthy rags, pale and still, was Rachel. She was covered in fading bruises, and one looked like cuts. Her chest was a horrible mess of blood and dirt, and I couldn't bear to look at it. I thought about it. I thought about all I'd seen and wondered if any of it could help me figure out who had done this. And when I couldn't stay there any longer, I stepped away with shaky legs, and I made my way back upstairs reluctantly, exhausted from my journey. I could no longer resist the urge to close my eyes. What was on that table? I had to see. I was never coming back here again. It was my wallet with its contents intact. I either dropped that stuff or somebody else did. Maybe I was sleepwalking again. Or maybe somebody stole it from me. Norman's store, that forest, the water tower. I was at all those places. Was I at all those places before? Yeah. I didn't see how it could have happened any other way. I must have been the one to lose my wallet and its contents. But what does that mean? What does that mean? There. That was decided. The few broken pieces that remained of the mirror, I could see my face had grown pale and weak. I couldn't bear to look at it again. It was like I didn't actually expect reflection. I felt empty and drained. I had to leave. I was leaving. I'm out of here. I'll change my name. I'll do whatever it has. I can't stay in this town. I still had no idea what was on that tape I found in the garbage. I only found a way to watch it. From now on, I had no way to get angry with this. She would get angry with certain things that bind this TV. The old VCR had long since broken down. I never bothered to replace it. Not even. Can't see the time on tape. Just keep it. Down further I went. The nail sat there, heaped to the floor. How long had Rachel been laying in the basement? I couldn't read her. Not until I thought about this more. I needed answers. I needed more answers. More answers. There'd be no more dinners here, no more chit-chat over breakfast. At least not for us. Not for me. Not for me at all. I couldn't go back down, not until I'd gone over everything. I needed to make sure it was perfectly clear. So I went back upstairs. My old office safe sat on the floor. I used to keep tax records and important documents in it. It used a digital passcode lock. Did I try to open it? Yeah, I did. The safe code. What's it again? I don't know. 123221. I don't remember. That was damn. I couldn't remember. I couldn't. There's no idea. I leaped through the notebook I had taken from the forest. In it were names that had been down: Heather, Lydia, Ashley, Cheryl, Iris, Delphine, Holly, Rose, Rachel. I recalled the names I saw scratched out there on the desk, deep within those musty woods. What was the man in that house really? Was he up to something? Was that guy in the house up to something serious? Was he the one responsible for Rachel's murder? But I had found him dead. Hold on, let's save that documents. I don't remember it any more than before. I didn't think it was important, so I moved it. Just thinking about things like that made me sick. The VCR had long since broken down. There's no way to use it. That room was useless to me. I would not go back there again. I wish we would have had kids or something. I feel like none of this would have happened if we just made a couple of different choices. Maybe I would use some of Rachel's travel books to find some place to go. No matter what, I needed some kind of escape. The laptop had finally run out of power. How long had it been left running? Laptops don't last that long. The reflection in that grimy glass was only a shadow, a whisper. The quiet in that room nerved me terribly. It still had that old-time charm of that cloth-footed bathtub, though it seemed like cold comfort then. Rachel loved this part of the house. I knew not. Down I went. All the way down. It seemed like I'd seen all the walls. Maybe. I thought I was ready to go back to the basement. I guess I was ready to face the truth now. It was the knife I found in the sewers. I left it here because I didn't want it there anymore. Was all this my fault? Was I responsible for Rachel's death? If I was guilty, I could take this to a warm, safe place and do something about it. Did I pick up the knife? Yeah. I took the knife and kept it firmly in my hand. The gun I had found in that other man's tunnel. What was he doing with it? Why had I taken it in the first place? Was this my doing? Did I bring this on Rachel? My head began to spin with guilt and worry. I wanted to end it. I could do it. I could do it with that gun. Did I pick it back up? Yeah. It was like I was carrying an anvil, but I wouldn't let it go. Not again. I couldn't come back into that room again. I needed to put an end to this situation one way or the other. I needed to put an end to this situation one way or the other. That was it. With Rachel gone, I couldn't stand to be in that house a little bit longer. Did I leave and say goodbye to that nightmare forever? Yeah, I did. Since I had arrived in town, things had been difficult working in the plant, though. It had been good for me. Got me in line, gave me something to do. It helped me. It helped me get away from my past. When the factory closed, everything changed. I guess that was when I started sleepwalking, disappearing for hours at a time. Drinking was probably just a way to deal with that. It wasn't a drinking problem, it was a sleeping problem. And it was almost as if I was trying to beat my brain at its own game. Things stopped making sense after some time. After that, my memories of what happened are still in flux, but I know Rachel had tried. I know she had tried to be there for me, even when everything was falling apart. This night, it unearthed two terrible truths, but I knew it was a final act. It was a final act of a long-standing horror I'd been living with. Waking up in that house tonight was the final cruelty. I wished I had remained unconscious in that room forever. Even the man I had found in that old place was a mystery. Why was he dead? Who done it to him? It was not something I could even begin to understand, or why, for that matter, was I in that damn room in the first place. But going from that forest to the old plant was hardly a relief. The memories of that place, there was something going on there, especially in the old locker room. But I was no closer to the truth. I had to catch my breath to take it all in. Up until the factory, things had only gotten worse. But then I had seen something even I couldn't have expected when I went into Norman's store. That's when my perspective on all this really started to change. There were so many things to consider in this place, and I was so confused. What the hell was going on? But as painful as all that was, oh God, I could bear thinking about it again. And her clothes was in his room. He was my friend. We were there for each other. After all I had done and seen, finally coming home was supposed to be the end of this entire ordeal. God help me, though, it was only the beginning. As I swung open the door and stepped out into the air, I caught the scent of wet grass and fog. Rachel, my beautiful wife. Just the thought of her again. The cold earth shook me from head to toe. What would I do now? Who could I turn to? It would only be a matter of time before the police got involved, before the neighbors knew. The front lawn was soft and giving away beneath my feet. I couldn't shake the urge that I should just stand there, but that I should rather run.
Good night, everybody. Have a good night, and I hope you don't wake up someone really scary. Really scary.